So good evening and to Round Midnight as part of the St. Patrick's Festival. I'm Peter Curtin, DJ and broadcaster on RT2XM and Worldwide FM as well. And tonight, yeah, we're going to be exploring basically records that have, I suppose, opened new doors for us, new avenues, open our minds in certain ways as well, and just the stories of how we discovered them. And I'm delighted to be joined this evening by the artist and musician Feta. Feta, how are you keeping?
I'm great, thank you, Peter. I'm good, yeah. Artist and musician, that's
Yeah,
me.
that's it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's good to be doing this. It's been a while since you've done any live music, I take it. Like the rest of
Yeah,
us, it all streams these days.
all the streams, and the streams are great. They have their own vibe, which is cool. But I know everyone else misses being at a gig. It's hard and it's kind of scary not knowing when it's going to end. But in the meantime, just at least I'm lucky enough to be able to work still, and nothing can ever stop me from writing music. So
Yeah.
even no corona, no nothing.
Yeah. And I like the last gig I promoted was your gig here in Limerick, so I'm still living off that energy. It was pretty amazing. So yeah, yeah, we look forward to it again.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be great. It'll be great, and like it'll be great to be able to travel to play gigs again, and to go to different counties to play a gig, to be allowed to play a gig. Just little things like that are going to be so amazing. And I guess it'll probably start with outdoor gigs, which I'm totally okay with. Like where even in the depths of winter, I'll play outside, like if that's what it takes.
Doesn't matter, but you're still writing and releasing music, thankfully, and you just got a new EP out as well before Christmas. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, kinematics. Kinematics is like my little baby, my favorite child at the moment. um, I, uh, I'm really happy with that EP. I have to say, it was my first EP that well, I have two. So of the two, it's the one that I did completely by myself. Like I wrote the songs, other than the verses that I got the girls on, of course. I produced it, I mixed it. I didn't master it. I think that would have been too much, but I got a really great master, Fergal Davis, to do that. He's dope. So they were in great hands with him. But yeah, I was just proud of myself that I was able to do all of those different tasks and in such a short time, and not be because I only started writing the songs a few months, maybe about 9 months before the EP came out. Um, and the ear drainage is really hard to overcome. Like, normally it can take you months to get through one song if you're mixing and writing it. So I don't know, something happened with me last year. I was just like, just do it every day. I was able to work, and yeah, I can feel it now when I hear it. I still enjoy listening to it, which is always good.
Yeah, it's important. I'm enjoying it as well for sure. It's a great release, and definitely I've been kind of keeping an eye on how your sound has been evolving over the last 5, 6 years. So I'm kind of really looking forward to hearing what your selections are for tonight. Because I kind of picked records that have really influenced me, and yeah, I'm sure you're going to do the same. So do you want to kick things off? Let's see what you got.
Yeah, so I have this Mariam Hassan song. She's a singer from Western Sahara. She's absolutely she's just absolutely perfect in every way. I love her, and she really there's a lot about her music that resonates with me for so many reasons. But one of the things I'll always remember when I listen to this song is one of my favorite artists, Napalm, coming up to me, and after my show, which I was supporting her with my band, and telling me that I reminded her of Miriam Hassan, and that was really special to me. And and it just made the song. It gave the song a little bit of an extra boost. I already was obsessed with it, but that was a nice one. So anyway, you might hear me, Peter. You know my music, so you'll definitely hear a little bit of Feta here, I think. I'll just play the song.
قوموا يا الفنانة يا أصوات الجماهير فيديكم لمانا ولا مانا حمل كبير فيديكم لمانا حمل كبير فيديكم لمانا ولا مانا حمل كبير وصوات الشعب خير تقاليد وعادات وصوات الشعب خير تصون ومفات خليق فيها تغيير تصون ومفات خليق فيها تغيير قوموا يا الفنانة يا أصوات الجماهير فايديكم لمانا حمل كبير فايديكم لمانا حمل كبير ابنوها مجتمعين مجتمعين ابنوها مجتمعين بالضبطة والتسيير ابنوها مجتمعين بالضبطة والتسيير ولا ترخوا فايدي مسؤول ولا وزير ولا ترخوا فايدي مسؤول ولا وزير قوموا يا الفنانة يا أصوات الجماهير فايديكم لمانا حمل كبير فايديكم لمانا حمل كبير
Yeah, I was saying it kind of there's elements of it there that reminds me of one of your tracks, Sahara Congo. Just there was a
I
part in
know.
it where,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
she's amazing.
Sahara.
Yeah, I haven't.
Sorry, go on.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Sahara Congo is like it's one of those. It was one of those times where I was really trying to figure out how to emanate this kind of vibe, while still being myself, while still being someone who doesn't actually speak a language that can work like that in a melody. Um, and yeah, it was like that was a real exploratory phase for me that when I was writing those kinds of songs. Yeah, thank you,
But when
Marianne.
you hear a track like that, is it the vocal, is it the music, that you're taking elements from, or is it the melody, what is it that kind of inspires you?
Yeah, well, with this track, I think it's her. I don't even think. I mean, now that I've heard it so many times, I was able to think about what other instruments were doing. But and actually, that's not really how I am normally. Like I'm very much a rhythm person. I end up listening to me. It takes me ages to learn lyrics of the songs because I don't really listen to. I can listen to a melody and I can repeat a melody, but it takes me a long time to put the words and rhythm behind that melody accurately. Whereas I could I could sing a bass line at you, accurately, more accurately than a hook in a song if I just heard it once. Um, that would be how I am usually. But when it's someone like that singing, I think that's what makes her so special. It doesn't even matter what your normal settings are. Like this bitch is gonna reset you to default. Like you're like, whoa, okay, all right, vocals, vocals it is. That's what I love about her.
Yeah, and it's coming, it's really heartfelt. You can really feel that it's coming from deep within her. Some of the noises she's making as well are just, yeah, insane.
Insane what she can do with her voice. And normally that kind of technicality can put people off, but it's so real that it's just you can't really keep your ears out of out of those sound waves. You just want to consume them. I've never met anyone in my life who doesn't love this song when they hear it, no matter what kind of music they like.
Yeah, I was bopping away to it anyway. It's just even, yeah, and the rhythms are so simple, just simple claps and whatever little
Yeah.
drum tools they're
Yeah,
using for it. But yeah, it's beautiful.
I do like that's one thing I will say in general, like with the more desert, closer in towards closer up towards the north, I guess, where the rhythm and the drumming would be like for me, I would prefer like the West African coast kind of style that's a bit more kind of organized. I would say the drumming is almost messy, like no shade at all. It's kind of works, but it's not like tight and necessarily polyrhythmic in amongst itself. Um, but the guitar playing, like to home in on another aspect of desert music that I am pretty obsessed with is the sound of the guitar. Like I think it has to do with the being outside in the desert. I don't know. It just really translates when I listen to this song. I feel like I'm standing outside when I hear it, even no matter what kind of speakers it's coming out of. But I don't know. I think the guitar has something to do with that.
Yeah, it's challenging. And just going back on the rhythm there, do you think that, like, I suppose we're just so used to everything to being perfectly produced and, perfectly in time or whatever, that little things that are out of kilter, can challenge us
Yeah.
and throw us off a bit, I suppose.
Well, I mean, yes and no. Like I would agree in general that our ears are have completely are so desensitized to perfection now that we think of it as the standard when it comes to production. However, I guess I mean more in actually how they're playing. Like when a West African drummer plays and you even look at their hands, like it's kind of like a stick in itself of how tough it is and how sharp. Like I always when I admire drummers, I always think about like how long it takes their stick to actually leave the drum. Because like for me, that's when someone's not tight. Like tightness is like how quick you are actually making the sound, and it's still powerful and effective and it has attack, but it's not. It doesn't have this annoying delay that makes it messy and muddy, kind of, sloppy drummer is like lagging on the thing. So, which can be a sound in itself, but it's got time and a place for that. And I feel like the one comparison I would make, I mean, maybe I am not in a position to make this comparison, but with West African drumming anyway, it's like the most precise drumming of anywhere in the world. Like they're using their hand, but the notes are so strong, but so sharp, and there's nothing ever messy really there. There's not that much reverberation between the hits, unless they want there to be. Whereas with this kind of drumming, and I find a lot of North African drumming can be a bit more full palm, which is, it's a vibe in itself, as I say. But yeah, I'm from West Africa, so I'm going to be on that side of things in my preferences.
And if like dead or alive, would you have a preference for a drummer you'd love to have played with, or could still play with?
Oh my God, Jesus. Wow.
Sorry, put you on the spot.
Just literally put me on the spot there. Like the first person actually that comes to mind is someone like Anderson .Paak, because I feel like what I love about drummers like that is the pocket that they can get into while you can do all this mad rhythmical stuff. Because I don't know, I mean, I could say, of course, I'd love to play with oh my God, why can't I think of any West African drummers that I think I'd love to play with any West African drummer. That's the problem. But I don't even know if I get much out of it, because I don't even know how to sit into their grooves are so mathematical that I don't even think that it would work very well for me. What I do love though are drummers that can, for the kind of music that I make anyway, that can see what the grounding layer of rhythm is, and be okay there. A good example of a song that's not like this is Sahara Congo. Like in that song, it's the rhythm is crazy. Like it is mad, to be fair. When I hear it now, I'm like, oh my God, you're such a nerd sometimes. But and any drummer who ever played it had a hard time, because I was writing the drum kit on a computer, so I was able to throw kick drums where no one would really be able to play them very easily, while also doing these mad triplets on the hi-hats. And after playing with a good few drummers, and eventually they'd all kind of get locked in, but it kind of made me realize that actually what I like to do is write music around this kind of this apparent foundation of a groove that maybe isn't there. It's like there's a metronome in the song that actually isn't on. I like to write a song off that, and so sometimes it can end up sounding kind of confusing and polyrhythmic, but for instrumentalists, they usually end up getting a vibe out of it. But I think that the instrumentalists I've ended up working the best with are the ones who are able to get in that pocket. So actually, like my two favorite drummers to play with in Ireland, I play with both of them, Micheál Quinn and Emmanuel Oshumbong. They're both amazing drummers who have a really strong ability to actually sit in that pocket, and with that nice fast attack. There's no draggy, there's no messy, muddy sound with those two. They're sharp players.
Yeah, I was kind of when we were like level 4 or whatever, level 3 at Christmas or December, I was doing a bit of driving. I don't drive that much now, but yeah, just when I had the opportunity, I did. And yeah, just mixing up some old CDs that I had in the car, but Sahara Congo was in there, and yeah, it still sounds so good a couple of years later. Yeah, it's a bit in the middle where it just kind of changes. Yeah, it just gets me every time. And I saw Anderson .Paak actually at South by Southwest a couple of years ago. Yeah, it was amazing. He's an amazing energy. Just the kind of, yeah, he played with, like he drummed for one gig I saw him at, and then the second gig he was playing with Knowledge, and it was at the end of South by Southwest. So I'd say he had like played nearly every day of the week at this stage. So there was no sign of him, and Knowledge was kind of just like, he was just playing beats, but the energy wasn't there. Everyone really wanted to see Anderson .Paak. Or No Worries is there, the group.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
yeah, he just came out and he just finally arrived, and the place just lifted. Like I don't think I've seen that in a long time. Just that energy, just where a place
Mhm.
is just so flat, and then one person comes in and just can bring it to level 15, from level 2 kind of thing. And his voice was
Yeah,
gone, it was shot, but he still just carried it.
yeah. Like, what is it with drummers? They always have so much energy. They're always these hyped people. I bet he's hype in real life as well. Anderson .Paak, he gives off those vibes anyway. Mad
They
vibe.
need it. Do you think you can tell by a person's character what instrument that they play or something if you spend a
Well,
couple of minutes talking to them?
bassists and drummers are all the exact same people with different faces on. World vibe. They're all the exact same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why, but they are.
Some personality trait that they have. So you were kind of saying that the last track you played there was kind of otherworldly and cosmic. So when you mentioned those words, I was going to play something else, and then I was there. I wanted to play some Sun Ra. So
Mm,
I'm going to play a Sun Ra track. I might play this one first, and then I'll talk a little bit about it. It's on Jupiter from Sun Ra and his Solar Orchestra.
nice.
Yeah, maybe Jupiter is our planet B, you know? Otherworldly stuff. Those piano
Oh,
stabs are amazing. The reason, yeah, I kind of wanted to play that, I suppose I was discovering Sun Ra music, you know, as I kind of went further and further into jazz music. But one of my favorite live music experiences was seeing Marshall Allen, who's the saxophonist, with the orchestra play in the National History Museum in Los Angeles. And he performed, there was like, you know, stuffed stars behind him, and the performance was just amazing. I just kind of was off, you know, in a haze just afterwards, then wandering through the museum with, you know, there's T-Rexes, and there's like, you know, they had created a rainforest area there. And then when I looped all the way around through that, I saw Marshall Allen just getting into a lift, and I had a record with me, two records, my friend Brian as well, who was there at the gig, and my job was to get him signed, and the lift door was just closing, so I made a beeline for it, just got in the door. He was kind of a bit shocked by it, as you would be. It's like young Irish fella in the lift with you, and I was just like, any chance to sign the record? And he did. So I have my Marshall Allen signed record. But yeah, Sonra is phenomenal artist. June Tyson. I always love the vocals on his tracks, and it's June Tyson that sings them. And there was just a compilation of hers put out there recently. Yeah, and just yeah, he had some of the best musicians and artists with him. But yeah, respect to June Tyson as well.
yeah, like honestly, he's just got such an archive of great people that he's worked with. Like, and even I love listening to his music because like there's always going to be these nuggets of instruments you don't expect to hear. Like you don't always expect to hear vocals, or I certainly didn't expect to just hear that bass doing all that poppy shit. Like at some point there as well,
Mm.
towards the end, like I was like, okay, hey there, bassists coming out there pretending they're quiet and shit. But I love that. It instantly made me think like wow, of course people sample music now. Like, of course
Yeah.
we do. Like when we live in a world where almost everything has become digital, like of course instruments have too, and so that means that those moments in a song can be created out of anything, out of an instrument or out of another song. It's like yeah, I think those kind of artists are the precursor to this new age of sampling that I love so much.
Yeah. And he just continues to surprise. There's still just so much stuff coming out of their art yard, and are the main, and Strut Records now have started putting out his stuff as well. There's just, yeah, there's always tapes seem to turn up. But I got a book. I can't remember the guy's name now. I think he is part of Art Yard, but he wrote this book. He brought Sun Ra to Egypt in the 70s and put him up and stuff, and brought him around, and he did these amazing gigs, and they recorded them. But like he's in the book, you know, he, you know, makes him out, you know, the amazing character is. But he walked in him at one stage, and you know, Sun Ra is like making notes in his copybook, and your man thinks like, okay, visions. And then Sun Ra's like, no, he's doing the sums, like, and he's there like, man, we're flat broke. We can't chance you loan us some money, basically. So, you know,
Wow.
human after all, and one, like the rest of us, you know, money worries as well.
This is it. They might sound like they're from somewhere else, but we all human out here.
Yeah, yeah.
Getting away with that. Yeah. Yeah. So are we B2B, are we?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay, so like um yeah, I guess this is kind of gonna end up being like a chronological experience. Like I guess I'm reflecting on these songs in chronological order, mainly so I can formulate my thoughts around them. But yeah, like if that track, that last track, As I Gaffa, is like the start of the journey for me, in terms of like one one of the first artists that I was extraordinarily influenced by. Then I guess like not only was I influenced by her power and her energy, but actually musically as well, the musicality of African music in general, but particularly North and West African guitar playing, like has always been something that has made me want to make music so that I can make music like that. And there's not many artists who I think sample West African music very well. A lot of people do it, and a lot of people don't do a very good job of it. You have like, you know, when I was coming up as an artist, it was the era of just a bunch of like white guys just stealing African music and making an edit and calling it a different, sometimes just calling it a different name as well. Like, and you're like, I fucking know that song. So I guess like I had I was approaching sampling West African music with caution. I didn't want to do it the wrong way. And so whenever I hear another artist who's doing something interesting with this particular, like with kora playing or West African guitar playing, I'm always like, I'm here for it, bro. I'm here for it. Well, especially when it's good. So yeah, this artist, Buddy, he's like, yeah, he's pretty famous. I think I don't need to give him much of an introduction, but yeah, I feel like this song kind of went under the radar. I don't think enough people fuck with this song, and I don't really know why, because it's dope. But yeah, he's got some great sampling going on here, and I think it's worth a listen.
No break, I gotta get paid.
Ayy, this shit ain't cheap. Nigga, this shit ain't sweet. She mad, her nigga ain't me. He soft, that nigga ain't street. Who want beef? Got bread, got lettuce, got cheese. OGs only smoke OG. Fuck your blunt, that shit ain't weed. Yo shit ain't hot, it's cold. That bitch ain't new, she old. That nigga ain't rich, he broke. Not feeling it, no. My shit ain't clean, it's dirty. She 30, she thirsty, reversed it. She twerking, she perfect. Ayy, this shit ain't cheap. Nigga, this shit ain't sweet. She mad, her nigga ain't me. He soft, that nigga ain't street. Who want beef? Got bread, got lettuce, got cheese. OGs only smoke OG. Fuck your blunt, that shit ain't weed. I'm about to roll this motherfucking blunt. All of these hoes keep hitting me up. We mixing potions down in the dungeon. All of this money still never enough. Hold on, got my dose out. Put the window up. Hop in the Rover, no I don't know ya. Diamonds get colder, my nigga frozen. I got my own, but no I don't owe ya. Hero don't know nothing, I been told ya. I'ma catch blow up, blow up, blow up. Your pockets getting lower, lower, lower. I been told ya, I get my dough up. That boy a folder, no he don't know what. Your money moves slow, you gotta get closer. You burn like a toaster, hop at the roaster. I'ma just go first, and no hearse. I don't know her, but she got posters. She want me to post her, she want me to go flirt. But I know she just want cash up in her purse. Ayy, this shit ain't cheap. Nigga, this shit ain't sweet. She mad, her nigga ain't me. He soft, that nigga ain't street. Who want beef? Got bread, got lettuce, got cheese. OGs only smoke OG. Fuck your blunt, that shit ain't weed. I'm about to roll this motherfucking blunt. All of these hoes keep hitting me up. We mixing potions down in the dungeon. All of this money still never enough. I'm about to roll this motherfucking blunt. All of these hoes keep hitting me up. We mixing potions down in the dungeon. All of this money still never enough.
Yeah, that's a great sample.
What did you say? Do you know what the sample is? Did you say what it was?
No, you sampled it. I've looked a few times. I've literally looked a few times. Come on.
There's a great website at whosampled.com.
That's what I'm saying. I
It's so
looked
good
at
for.
it.
Oh, you did look at that, yeah.
I checked. It's not there.
It's a dangerous website because I always like find new records. I'm like, oh God, I need to own that. I need to buy it.
Oh,
Where
God,
are
yeah.
you? Do you use? Yeah. Do you use much sampling yourself actually in your music?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Jeez. Like, how does anyone make music without sampling? Like, I sample so much. The thing is, when I sample music, I'm usually trying to make a different kind of sound or instrument out of the snippet of audio. So it's rare that when I sample it, I actually use a riff from the song. I'll usually like slice the audio and fuck shit up a little bit.
It's going to be unrecognizable, like by the time we hear
Often,
it.
often it is. So people don't really realize that I've sampled. But I absolutely do. Like I'm whole. Like I would don't know what I'd do if I couldn't sample. If someone was like, "You can't sample for this song," I'd be like, "Shit, that's shit."
Where do I go
Yeah,
from
I'm
here?
literally looking for that fucking sample now, and it's not on Who Sampled It. Max, it's not there. Yeah. If anyone out there knows what that sample is,
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll have to leave the email address afterwards. You never know with those things. That could be like some field recording or something as well. Who knows? It mightn't even be an official release or whatever.
who knows?
Yeah. I just when you're kind of playing African music there, I suppose I'll play one that would have been my introduction to Afro beat music, and I'd say it's the introduction for a lot of people, a lot of Irish people anyway, to Afrobeat music is Fela Kuti, and my favorite Fela Kuti track is Water No Get Enemy. I think it's definitely the first one I heard by him. But it just reminds me, I remember years ago when I was in college in Dublin in the early noughties, showing my age now, but there used to be this festival that they had it was running in, I saw it in the Project Art Centre, but they called it Fela Podrick, but they called it La Fela Kuti on the 17th of March. So yeah, I remember going there one year with a college friend, and yeah, they screened a documentary, and there was just DJs playing Afrobeat music. It was amazing, and because it was just like it was in Temple Bar, and there's that seat in the Project Art Centre, you can kind of see out onto Temple Bar, so all the kind of excess of Paddy's Day was in full sight at like midnight that night, but it was just so calm and relaxed in the Project Art Center. It was beautiful, a really nice experience. And I just saw a documentary of his recently on BBC Four, but the interview, I should double check her name, Sandra Smith, who was his girlfriend in Los Angeles, and she was just talking about how when he came to Los Angeles in the mid to late 60s, he just come from London, so like his experience in college in London had really influenced his sound. But she was saying that like he was writing songs about soup and things like that, and at the time, like there's social unrest, there's civil marches, rights marches in America, and she's like, man, what are you writing songs about soup? But he definitely, so she maintains that she kind of changed his course in terms of like becoming one of the most uh, politically conscious artists there is, of a generation. So yeah, this track, this album, constantly, his backstory, he's getting constantly harassed by the police. So yeah, Water No Get Enemy from the album Expensive Shit. Yeah, I love this track so much, and it's 11 minutes. I think we just gotta let it ride. Yeah.
Go.
Now what are you going to use? Oh, me low. Now what are you going to use? Tori bangbo now, oh, me lero. If your head is hot, now what a kukulam. Tomo bandagba, oh, me lo malo. If your child they grow, now what a him go use? If water kill your child, now what are you go use? No. Told me back mama oh me no lo malo. Go someone to le shake, oh malo me oh. Not with that one. Someone to le shake, oh malo me oh. Oh me you love that. Oh me you love that. If you fight them unless you wonder. I say water no get enemy. If you fight them unless you won't die. Oh me you love them. And they talk of black man power. And they talk of black power. I say water no get. If you fight them unless you won't die. I say water no get enemy. Water no get enemy. Oh me you love that. Oh me you love that.
so good.
Oh, good.
That was actually one of the lines from the documentary as well, is that he said that the power of music is in its repetition. So like the labels wanted him, they were there like, man, we can't have these like 15, 16-minute tracks. I mean, we need the 3-minute radio edit. And he was like, no, power of music is in its repetition. And yeah, he was right.
Right. Well, like he was coming from like Lagos, where they were playing. They would be playing shows for like 10 hours sometimes. They just come in and
Yeah.
out, like up and down off the stage. And like I noticed that when I went to Sierra Leone to visit there, like in my early 20s, after I'd started playing music, and when I played with Sierra Leone people for the first time, basically, I realized like the mentality to like to the work ethic involved in practicing your instrument, like, and then going to perform and practicing for shows, is just like it's just there as a given. Like people are so happy to just sit in a rehearsal. If they have to be there for, that's what it takes. They'll play gigs for 3-4 hours sometimes, and that's just standard. Like there's no limits to how long you should put in into a performance. You don't get like, you know, half an hour performance in West Africa. That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
There's a reason then they're the amazing musicians that they are then, yeah.
Yeah, the work ethic is really there. I have a Congolese friend called Niwell, who's like ridiculously, like insanely good guitar player. And he's always like, in Congo, where, you know, when you're a musician, you get up in the morning, go to practice all day, and then you come home. And you don't, it's not your job. Like, it's not because you're getting paid. That's just because if you're a musician, then that's what you're supposed to do. Even if it's with a band or if it's with someone else, like, that's just the standard. And Congolese people are actually known for their guitar players. And according to Newell, it's really strict there. If you're a guitar player, people will judge you on stage. Like, if you come out with a line that people don't like, they will boo you off the stage. He said they'll do it the way Congolese people boo. They don't even boo. They just don't dance. They just stand there like this.
Not
Literally.
good.
Can you imagine? Can you actually imagine?
Yeah, nightmare sweating.
Horrible. My hands are getting hot just thinking about it. And
Oh yeah. Yeah, no. I've had that once or twice when I've been DJing. All right, definitely when people aren't dancing, it's not a good look. You're panicking. All right. The other thing with Phil, I suppose, which I really like, and you know, I kind of see similarities with you as well when I see you perform live, is that you sing. You know, you can be playing guitar at 1 second, you're doing some like, you know, percussion stuff. It's just that idea of jumping between ways of expressing yourself on the one track within the space of a couple of minutes. Like, it must be, you know, I don't know, as the artist, it must be an amazing experience just to be expressing yourself in 3-4 different ways in the space of 3 minutes, or well, 11 minutes in Fela's case there.
Yeah, like he sits into the groove. Yeah, it is like it is and it isn't. I guess in some ways, in more practical sense, it can be kind of overwhelming, and you're like, I do love sometimes just like playing and just getting like someone like Johnny Taylor, like my favorite piano player in Ireland, just to play, and then I just have to sing. That can also just be glorious, and you just home into that one. But you're right, there's certain moments of a song where I love kind of jamming out on my drum pad, and it's nice when you're playing with a group and you can like actually extend certain sections of your song just so that you can fuck with your drum pads, which I do regularly with almost all the songs on my set. I'm like, okay, so this section of the song is just about the drum pad. So we're going to loop this section for as long as it takes for me to like smash this till I feel good. And then I'll go back to my guitar. But it is really nice. There's a certain thing that comes out of you when you get to express how you feel with different instruments. It's a nice feeling. No denying. But yeah, like this vibe that you've played, like bringing Fela, is actually nice because it's going to tie into the song that I want to play next really well.
Perfect.
Which is kind of in the same vein as the last one, in that it sounds like a sample. Again, I don't think it is. I think at this point, the band, the guys who wrote it or who produced it are actually just are now like fusing what sounds like sampled music into their actual music, into their writing. But this is a track called Feng Shui. It's from it was from I heard it for the first time when I was watching Insecure, the amazing Issa Rae show. And like I just Shazam that shit straight away. But every time I listen to it, like anyone who hears it becomes obsessed with it, and it's a banger. But one of the things I love the most about it is that it sounds like modern high life, like high life in 2020 kind of vibe. It's got all of the elements of like it's got that like, you know, 808 bass synth, like synth kind of thing going on for the kick drum, but then there's this really cool high life energy to it, which I mean obviously Fela's not high life, but like, you know, he was coming from that school of thought, I guess. So yeah, this is Feng Shui. These guys have been whooped by their label. So this song is like 3 minutes 30 seconds. These guys are getting it in and out quickly, but it's a sweet 3.5 minutes. So anyway, here we go.
Talk down, niggas call it up. Rubber band, baby, wanna fuck. I've been doing well, up and up. Caught 'em in a spell, fuck you up. They make it easy, they can't see me, they just don't know. They wanna keep me in their choke away, I won't go. That got to be me, I go insane if I don't go. When I'm a creative, go free man for my control. Automatic is in the design. What I feel, gotta feel like 1,000,000 vibes. What I feel, I'ma feel with 1,000,000,000 lines. What I kill, I'ma kill in a little time. And I still gotta feel. I got that fun sway. I got that fun sway. Can't fuck with the fun sway. I seen a bitch nigga one way. I got that fun sway. I got that fun sway. Can't fuck with a fun sway. I seen a bitch nigga one way. They make it easy, they can't see me, they just don't know. They wanna keep me in their choke away, I won't go. That gotta be me, I go insane if I don't go. When I'm a creative, go free man for my control. All along automatic is in the design. What I feel, gotta feel like 1,000,000 vibes. What I feel, I'ma feel with 1,000,000,000 lines. What I kill, I'ma kill in a little time. And I still gotta feel. I got that fun sway. I got that fun sway. Can't fuck with the fun sway. I seen a bitch nigga one way. I got that fun sway. I got that fun sway. Can't fuck with a fun sway. I seen a bitch nigga one way. I got that fun sway. I got that fun sway. Can't fuck with the fun sway. I seen a bitch nigga one way. I got that fun sway. I got that fun sway. Can't fuck with the fun sway. I seen a bitch nigga one way.
Have you ever DJ'd before, actually?
I have. Oh my God, you would love my DJ sets actually, and I know that because of how I DJ. I don't DJ with decks. I I I rip all the tunes offline, and then I play with I play with my sampler.
Oh, no
Um,
way. Okay.
yeah,
Do you
so
take? Are
it's
you just taking the best elements and looping them? Are you kind of like mixing
sometimes
up the
in
songs, or a bit? Yeah.
yeah, like sometimes I'll take a little element and then loop it and kind of use that as a segue into the next one, and then other times I'll just I have loads. I have an Akai APC 40. No, 20, APC 20. No, APC 40. Yeah, it's APC 40. And it's great. It's got all. You can have samples on it. You can mirror it to Ableton. So I use Ableton, and I'm in like session view, and I've got full load of tracks, way more than I need, and I just keep dragging them into the next scene and playing them as I go, and I have all my effects mapped to the sampler as well. So it's so much fun, and I sometimes have my sample pad, my drum pad as well.
And play
Oh,
along. Nice.
I love my
I need to
DJ.
see that. I need to see that sometime. Yeah, I want to dance to that.
Great fun, man.
My next one, I suppose, just with all the music that I'm playing, I don't know what your take on this would be like, but it's generally music from around the world. And unfortunately, I haven't traveled to many of these places, which is what I think I need to do. I think if I'm into Fela Kuti, I need to go to Lagos. I need to go to Nigeria. I need to experience the culture, meet the people there. Go to the museums, find out more about it, as opposed to being on the internet or buying the. That's all well and good as well, buying the record, but you really got to go experience it. So I suppose one of the best experience I've had with not being in the country was I really love Brazilian music and haven't been to Brazil, but the next best thing I suppose I could do was go see Milton Nascimento play in the Barbican in London with a rake of Brazilian people, and yeah, the energy was just amazing. It was quite emotional actually. The end of it, he performed some songs. It was just like very emotional is the best way to describe it. So I don't think Milton Nascimento was my introduction point to Brazilian music. I don't actually really remember what it was, but it's been a really good journey. I love the rhythms, I love the songs, everything about it. So yeah, I want to play a Milton Nascimento track just because it reminds me of that gig in the Barbican when we could go to live music. And yeah, Brazilian people, you're amazing. I want to have a Brazilian Irish party once this is all over. I think it would be pretty special.
A gente se esquece de dizer frases que o vento vem às vezes me lembrar, coisas que ficaram muito tempo por dizer. Na canção do vento não se cansam de voar. Você pega o trem azul, o sol
Yeah, there we go.
A hug. It's
I
like
think we
the
were really
feeling-
fortunate. Say again.
It's like getting a hug, like listening to that song.
Yeah,
really
it's
love
beautiful. And the thing about it is as well, I think I've been like really lucky to have seen artists like Milton Nascimento, seen Farrah Saunders, maybe not seen them in their prime, but you know, it's still get to see a living legend. And that's the thing about it, like Milton Nascimento, like he had to go off stage at certain points in the concert. He'd come back on, and then even when he's doing the encore, but it was just the energy in the room that the crowd just carried him, even if his voice wasn't able. He was still singing really well, but you know, he didn't even have to by the finish, because you know he was playing all the classics for the crowd. Just took it away. Like it was yeah. You know, it's one of those experiences I won't forget it.
Brazilian artists, particularly in that era, like the 60s, 70s, just the melodies like that they come up with.
Yeah.
Like melodies are all fabulous. Like how many Brazilian songs are translated into English just because we love the melody so much? It's so common. I don't know what they're
Yeah,
water over there.
there's a whole the history thing is mad about it as well. I far as I remember, like, you know, it was a very brief synopsis, but like like a lot of the artists ended up in America because of the military taking over in Brazil in the 60s. So they were just like, you know, wanted out. And yeah, I think America really took on to bossa nova then, and that's kind of what popularized it so much. And then you've got the Stan Getz and the girl from Ipanema, and it even was in Disney originally as well. Like that was the first instance of Brazilian music, was a kind of film around the Second World War. So I think that's probably, but also it's just so good anyway, you know. It translates really easily, like the melodies, as you say, and the rhythms are just amazing. Yeah. And it goes so deep as well, like, you know, beyond all the classics that, you know, there's just so much other stuff there. Like it's amazing.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people writing jazz, but the way that they implemented the jazz chordal complexity with these beautiful sing along in a way that you can sing along to, like these quite complicated melodies. When you actually take them away from the chords, it's actually really quite hard to sing them. I love that about Brazilian music and Brazilian jazz in particular. Well, it's great because as soon as you said Brazilian, I was like, yes, we're on it, Peter, me and you today. Because I wanted to play a really short tune. It's like only a minute and a half. This artist called Sango. I've actually only discovered the song recently because the album is new. But his name is Sango, and he's just like, he's fucking great. He's one of these amazing artists of the diaspora who just has their sampling so on lock, and he's now gone beyond needing to sample, and he can actually write music that has all of the technical nuances that are in like traditional like Brazilian bossa nova rhythms, I guess. Well, it's not bossa nova rhythm at all, actually. I don't even know what you call this type of rhythm, but it's great anyway. And Sango, I feel like if I was Brazilian, Sango would be one of those artists I really want to work with. I mean, I don't have to be Brazilian, but like if I was his contemporary, I think I would like to be considered his contemporary if I was from Brazil. He's definitely in my area. But yeah, this is a short little nugget, so
Yeah, I haven't heard his name in ages. I remember him from a good few years ago, right? But I haven't checked anything of his in recent times. I must send you on one. Yeah, I'll have to root it out. But there was a couple of ones from a few years ago that were just, yeah,
Yeah,
amazing. Like really, really, really good.
he's got a new album out. That's it there, Sanguizinho. It's
Great.
absolutely great. I've liked all the songs on it, and then I was like, I should just like this whole album because it probably makes my
Yeah, 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 yeah. I need to check that. Okay, I need to get onto that. Just actually in terms of listening to music, what way do you kind of consume it these days? Is it mainly
so.
Spotify, or are you getting everything anywhere?
Yeah, no, I do listen to music on Spotify a lot, but I don't really discover a lot of music on Spotify, I would say. I
Mm.
mean, eventually, if you're letting it play, I guess the album. I feel like the Spotify algorithm is pushing artists on me that I don't want to listen to. Sometimes it's weird. Anyway, maybe that's just in my head. But I'd say in the last year, I've actually gotten a lot of music from movies and stuff like that, and like visual things. I guess I've been doing a lot of work on a project that's on a visual project or I'm making a soundtrack for. And as part of that, I'm working with the videographer who's literally been flooding me with all these references of movies and stuff that he wants to bring on. And it's actually a really good way of discovering new music.
Mm.
I would normally be into something as I'm watching it, but not really actually try to find out what it is. But for Afro beats and for kind of like more modern mainstream Afro beats music, I still am in touch with a lot of my friends from Sierra Leone, and actually that's a really good way of. They just always know
Yeah.
what's coming out of Nigeria quicker than I do. So yeah, they be posting shit. I be
Yeah.
putting that stuff in my Spotify.
And just as a jump off point from creating and writing music, how do you find, or how are you finding it using visuals, I suppose? Like, when you're writing, let's say you're creating your own EP, has a visual ever inspired something you've written before? Or is this the first time that you've actually kind of worked with visuals to create a piece of music?
Well, no. So this will be my second time.
Nice.
I did a soundtrack in, I guess it was also last year in like August or somewhere thereabouts. For a short visual piece, which was like where I worked with Felicia. She's a friend of mine. She's a poet. Feli Speaks, and
Mm.
Tafaris was on it as well. And
Oh
they
yeah,
did
yeah. Sure, I
the
saw that actually. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I made the music for that.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, so that was so much fun. Like I there was a flute player called John involved, and like he sent me some audio of him playing, and the idea was like, yeah, just work with that and like sample it and fuck with it and stuff and make something happen. And it was really interesting to work alongside a visual reference and get all
Mm.
those nitpicky, tiny little details that I normally wouldn't be able to home in too much in my own song, because you always have to put vocals at the front. You can't be distracting away from the vocals. So it was nice to be able to throw a few cool, weird sounds in there that I would never be able to use in my own music. Yeah.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing the next one anyway. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's exciting to, I suppose, challenge yourself in different ways as well, and just to,
Totally.
do something, write music in a different way.
Yeah.
I suppose we'll get one more in each. So I'm just gonna pick one more. This one was produced by Mike Slot, and the reason I'm kind of picking this is because of the sample. So Mike used to work in All City Records back in the mid noughties, and I was living in Dublin at the time. And this came out on All City Records. It was The Heralds of Change, so it's with Hudson Mohawk. But yeah, the sample, I really love the sample, just a simple kind of horn sample on it. And I asked Mike, I was just like, what is it? And he was there, that's my dad, and he's there, this is Irish jazz record. And I suppose the significance of it for me is that I suppose my knowledge of Irish music up to that point would have been like, we would say like the Thin Lizzies, the Van Morrisons, the ones we all know, and not really rely on the whole other kind of underground scene that was going on there. So that kind of put me off on a search for many years looking for records from the Irish underground scene. Put out a compilation at the end of it as well, and still searching and still turning up new stuff all the time. So yeah, this one is Heralds of Change. It's got Odyssey on it actually as well. It's called Part of the World, and yeah, the sample is from the Noel Keelan Quintet, so it's Mike Slott's dad playing the trumpet.
Wow.
Hey yo, I'm laying it down, politicking on the stoop with my peeps. Got a brother trying to reach for a roof that's a glass ceiling. Blast proof, not revealing that these streets is a noose round the neck of my troops just hanging around. High big in my neck of the woods. I get suspect when I see a vest of a hood. They invest in the tech to protect their goods and estate property, stash pocket. Might flash objects, any subtle gesture could. Had his thinking we about to test, then he might blast rockets. Make you see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I ain't talking about God. It's all that. Just cause it wouldn't walk down my boulevard. Seeing that he grilling and they yelling, he looking hard. Gambling their lives for the sake of just pulling cars. What type of shit we on? What it is in your part of the world? Do it rain a lot? What do people do for fun then? Kids growing up fast? What it is in your part of the world? Jobs hard to get. There's graffiti everywhere in the strip. Gas prices dead high as a split. What it is in your part of the world. Walk with me through the streets of the district. Intoxicated liquids consumed by misfits. Bitches wearing lipstick, red as blood. Flipping tricks to get rich quick, but A's and drugs is a hell of a downer. You too will stay buzzed. Your hate just surrounds you like harm had arms for a hug, but it don't. Little kids had arms full of slugs and they won't hesitate to pull the plug on your loved one. How they motivate? For the papes, cause they love ones. All for that dollar bill, y'all. Kids carjacking, hit the throttle, then they peel, y'all. Brothers dying for shoes, ladies lining do more portions, but instead he buying some shoes. Babes crying for food, nobody there to feed them. They grew up to have their own and mistreat them. What it is in your part of the world. Is the healthcare free? How high is the taxes? Racism still prevalent? You know what it is here. What it is in your part. You gotta lock your doors when you're gone. Cars got about 4-5 alarms. Threats every day on the news for bombs. Got to know what it is in your part of the world. And through these, walk with me. You know what I'm saying? Have a little talk and bark with me. Brothers playing ball in the park when the sunlight down. Sun they like up. Getting dark on the court, so they spark that Dutch. Ain't trying to get caught by the law and such. 5-0 breeze past, so they toss the Dutch. On their way to a party on the block. Yeah, it's a cookout. Free food, free beer, so the whole hood out. It's all good, enough go round. Make a plate, grab a drink, homeboy, throw down. Get with your peoples, ain't nothing better. Young bucks sit and chat with them veteran cats. Telling stories of the youth and their war days of troops. And how they never seen them recoup. What it is in your part of the world. All seeing, eye watching. Our fellas rule when they holler at ladies there. Women walk around with their ass hanging out. So what it is in your part of the world. Teenagers there be having babes. So get live in the hood, but they got Mercedes. What it is in your part of the world.
Sorry, I'm hearing it again. Yeah, so that's sample comes from that. Kind of one of the most expensive records I own, incidentally. But I actually, the one thing I like about it is because it's kind of working with a family member. But I think actually his dad had died at the time. By the time he made sampled the piece. But yeah, it's just creating with like family members. You know, you do that quite a bit, like with your sister, and you know, yeah. What is it a different experience like creating music with a family member? Can it be a bit more complicated, or is it? How does it
to
work
be
out?
honest, I would say it's less complicated, really, because you know, like because my family member is Sally Garner, and so she's so she's just very highly intellectual. So and she absorbs a vibe, emotions, and senses what needs to happen in a certain situation. So like, you know, I don't think Sally could write on anyone's song and they'd say to her, that's not the right. She's very good at adjusting to a certain setting. So like, you see how she comes through in my music. Like, she comes out like, you know, like as if she's always out there rapping. Like, since when? Like, hello, hey, rapper, all of a sudden. But she just does it because she knows something tells her that that's what's going to work in that particular moment, and then she nails it. So like, I think Sally I'm very lucky to have her as a sister. It makes it a lot less complicated working with her. But I would say, yeah, her and I have only ever collaborated on each other's song. Like, I've sang on her song and she sang on mine, and we haven't written a song together. And I haven't written a song with any of my siblings, actually. And I guess maybe that's because we know it would be complicated. It would be hard for us to all write the way we would normally write and come together with a cohesive sound. So if we're collaborating with each other, we allow the other person's sound to take the front seat, and so we all settle into that vibe. Like, when I sang on her record, it was like, you know, it was a lower vibe that I was trying to bring in my own way. And so I think for the moment, that's the place where we're the most comfortable, because I don't know what would happen if we all sat down and started writing a tune together. Like, literally we could all end up dead.
Watch out. Watch out, Loa. Feta, it's been an absolute pleasure. Really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed your selections. Really enjoyed the conversation. And seeing as you started, I think you should finish. So yeah, if you want to play us out with your last selection, that would be
Okay, so
great.
this one is like, I'm gonna start where I began at the beginning. I'm gonna go back to like a song that I've loved since I was a kid. I actually have early memories of hearing the song and looking at the video on the TV and just standing in front of the video. Busta Rhymes is one of my favorite rappers in the world. Him and Missy Elliott, like Missy Elliott's obviously the best, but like Busta Rhymes, always here for him. And Erykah Badu, one of my favorite singers and artists in general. And they have a song together, which is totally forgotten, I think. Most people have forgotten about this song, I would say. But it's beautiful. It's called One, and it's got a great message and a great vibe. And yeah, so it's a nice place to leave it. Peter, thank you. You're the best person to talk to ever. So this is always a treat. It was really fun. Right. And here we go.
What I'm gonna do with Erykah Badu, I'm gonna have some fun. What do you consider fun? Fun, natural fun.
I said, what I'm gonna do with my man Busta Rhymes, I'm gonna have some fun. What do you consider fun? Fun, natural fun.
Busta Rhymes, Erykah Badu, y'all, just one. One love, everybody, just one. Well, as I universally greet the whole entire world and focus on the energy that'll make your skin curl. The one strategy, the one universal plan, the master blueprint, one survival for all man. I, self-Lord, am so divine. When me and my woman coincide as one mind, bear witness. One respect, one culture, one way of thinking, one vision, making a one decision, a one way of living. Common destiny amongst all, one understanding amongst me and my woman, so that we can't fall and keep moving forward based on actual facts. Yes, y'all, my beautiful Mother Earth, respected to the max. Can't mix, dilute, or tamper with us no more. We on the highest form of emotion, holy, sacred, and pure. And what's mine is yours, especially if we move in the same direction just for one common cause. just one. Opportunity to handle our biz, just one. Mind state so we can equally live, just one. You know we only have one life to live, just one. Come together as one.
One family, one little kiss now, one entirety. I let us all uplift now.
Talk to me, baby.
I found you, then I found me.
What?
I gave you tea.
That's right, girl.
You shed degree.
Oh yes, love.
A family.
One family, baby.
Here's what we be.
Yeah.
So plant your seed.
Right. Hey yo, I know my woman's love for me, the way she cherish me, fulfill my every appetite with the God degree, always inspire my encouragement, the right amount of nourishment, secure enough so I don't have to ask her where my loving went. When times is hopeless, sometimes I focus on the priceless moments when my wisdom body wouldn't notice. Cause you're my everything, what's mine will be yours. Moving in the same direction just for one common cause. Just one opportunity to handle our biz. Just one mind state so we can equally live. Just one. You know we only have one life to live. Just one. Let's come together as one.
One family, one little kiss now, one entirety. So let us all uplift now. As my sunlight, I bear witness to you. Being the foundation, you can come home and watch the babies too.
The one way we agree on how to follow tradition.
This one family coming first, play your position. You make the sacrifices, I make the same too.
From all the struggle
that I see, that's why my love is for you.
You always hold it down for me, so I'ma hold it for you. And watch the babies while you secure the food to come through.
Now don't you let my ambition make you feel like competition. We should both play a role in our whole living condition.
True indeed.
I know you symbolize the strength inside the family. Then show me you can handle womanly responsibility.
Not a problem, I know you hold me down when I fall on the ground. But make sure when you bring the food home, there's enough to go round.
And because you are my everything, what's mine is yours. Moving in the same direction just for one common cause.
Just one opportunity to handle our biz. Just one mind state so we can equally live. Just one. You know we only have one life to live. Just one. Let's come together as one.
One family, one